Greetings everyone, and today we are going to start our second lecture of clinical biochemistry, which is about vitamins. Vitamins, they are the organic substance having two classifications: water soluble vitamins and fat soluble vitamins. Water soluble vitamins is further divided in two classifications, either B complex containing or non B complex vitamins. B complex containing is included B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, 7, 9 and 12. Remember, B4 and B8, there is no vitamin from their names. B1 we have name thiamine, B2 riboflavin, B3 niacin, B5 pantothenic acid, B6 pyridoxine, B7 biotin and B9 folic acid, and B12 cobalamin. We have two other names for cobalamin, which is cyanocobalamin and methicobalamin, which is vitamin B12. And we are going in detail of each and every one by one. And second classification of vitamin is B non B complex, so it include vitamin C, and we also have a name of ascorbic acid for it as well. Now the second major classification after water soluble vitamins and its sub classification is this fat soluble vitamin. We have a mnemonic ADEC to remember this. Vitamin A, D, E and K is included in that. And as they are fat soluble vitamins, so they have the ability to get stored in our body. So we says that these are fat soluble vitamins. 2 to 3 things from MCQ point of view you must remember there, that B9, we also go in detail each and every one of this vitamin, but here for MCQ point of view helps in 1-carbon metabolism. On 1-carbon metabolism we have a separate lecture in this clinical biochemistry, which is our third lecture. B12 is basically occur in biosynthesis of purine and pyrimidine. B1, 3 and 5, they are the coenzyme for dehydrogenases. They are energy releasing enzyme for dehydrogenases, and we are going to discuss B1, so we will discuss here that how they are energy releasing and coenzyme for dehydrogenases. So let's come over to the vitamin B1 from the name thiamine. As it's vitamin B1 and water soluble vitamin containing B complex, so its function we discussed here, that first function is basically coenzyme for dehydrogenase. Which dehydrogenase? Pyruvate dehydrogenase in Krebs cycle, and helps in energy releasing pathway. Second function is maintenance of vermis, maintenance of mammillary body and anterior thalamic nucleus, and also the memory pathway in limbic system. So it maintain all these. And in HMP shunt, in hexomonophosphatase shunt, it also has its role. Now how they are energy releasing, or how they are going to release energy. Here we have a reaction, a pathway where glucose is converted into into pyruvate, and glycolysis phenomena is occur. This is mitochondria and this is matrix, cytoplasm and matrix. So here pyruvate enter in it, and pyruvate get converted into oxalate in presence of enzyme pyruvate carboxylase. Remember first lecture we says that biochemistry, clinical biochemistry is nothing but a game of clinically important enzyme. So here enzyme pyruvate carboxylase get involved and convert oxalate into mylate. But in the similar way, pyruvate dehydrogenase or B1 pathway is going to be involved and convert that pyruvate into acetyl CoA, which is 2-carbon containing. So we says that here glycolytic pathway take place, and here conversion of oxalate into mylate in presence of carboxylase pyruvate, we have glyconeogenesis which is going to be take place. Three pathways: glyconeogenesis, glycolysis and glycolytic pathway. Lytic, glycolysis and glyconeogenesis is going to be take place. Now malate shunt will come and will exit this malate into oxalate into the matrix, and from here we got energy. Now we are going to talk about the clinical features of B1, and first clinical feature is lactic acidosis. Lactic acidosis is basically a condition where lactic acid build up in the cell and where oxygen level becomes low. So in this reaction we are going to discuss this condition, as well as we are going to discuss that how the enzymes are going to be involved in these reactions for energy releasing pathways. So we have arterioles, capillaries, venules and AV shunt in that, and lactic acidosis build up, and this is basically a reaction. We have cytoplasm and mitochondrial matrix. First, glucose will be converted into pyruvate, and we say that step as glycolysis. Then this reaction is divided into two. In one is going to be enter in Krebs cycle, and we have acetyl CoA conversion, which is basically in presence of pyruvate decarboxylase enzyme. It is converted into acetyl CoA, and PDH enzyme is basically involved for converting of acid oxalate into malate, and then by using shunt it will exit the cell and enter in matrix, and here we have LAD, which is lactic acid dehydrogenase, which then involving this for making energy, and this is how this reaction is going to be occur, and with using enzymes we are making energy for our body. So lactic acidosis is basically condition where lactic acid accumulate and take place where energy levels or oxygen levels are quite low. Second is wet beriberi. Beriberi is basically a disease where we have high cardiac output. So in that disease we develop symptoms that we have wet beriberi. In the same way, dry beriberi, where dryness is going to be occur and neuropathic conditions are going to be occur. So we says that it is our dry beriberi condition. Korsakoff syndrome is divided in two parts, Kors and Sakov. Kors from confabulation. Confabulation, we often see the person who drink alcohol, that he misguided his condition. He used to tell lie. So that condition is confabulation. Psychosis is non-contact, or there is no reality in that. So we says that it is psychosis, having no insight, having no reality content. So we says that develop a psychosis, and these two conditions collectively, confabulation and psychosis, when we see that person with these conditions, so we says person is having Korsakoff syndrome. Wernicke's encephalopathy. Wernicke's encephalopathy is basically having three major conditions. One is ataxia, which is basically loss of coordination from body. Nystagmus. In nystagmus is basically you lost your control, and it is a rapid eye movement, a person whose eyes are moving rapidly, and we says that this person is developing condition nystagmus. Ophthalmophagia, as their name shows, ophthalmo and phagia, so it is basically a weakness of muscles of eyes. So these three conditions, they collected and they ultimately form Wernicke's encephalopathy. Now talking about the major cause of vitamin, one is basically using polished rice, and the other one is the deficiencies, the using of too much alcohol. So they basically will be going to be cause this vitamin B1 deficiency. So guys, our next lecture will be on 1-carbon metabolism, and as well as we will take these vitamins one by one and discussing their details one by one. We are going to complete this lecture of vitamins, and we are going to move then from vitamins to our next lecture of clinical biochemistry, which are basically energy pathways, which includes CH2 metabolism, sucrose metabolism, Krebs cycle, and we are going to discuss their details one by one. In 2 to 3 lectures this will be clear, and vitamins, we will finish these vitamins, and then we will going to start a Krebs cycle. So don't forget to subscribe Medicos Lectures by Shujat. Thanks so much.